G'day guys, Tiny here from Offtap Brewing. Just doing a bit of a test run for this weekend. I know it's only Thursday, but the B&C meeting is always, I'm getting up and trying to cram everything into one little sort of time frame, and it's just not working for me. This weekend I want to be a little bit more organised, as it were. Bit more organised. So what I'm doing today is I've got my HLT. It's full of water, and the water was from last week, so from when I cleaned it out and everything up. So I'm just gonna run a boil on that water, disperse any chlorine or any bad things out of it, and I'm just setting up my recirc system. Just running a test on that because the higher wattage element, last time I used it, was just tripping a few switches every now and then, depending on what I had going. So I just want to find a dedicated switch that I can use it. So I'm going to bring this to a boil today. I'm going to bring this to a boil today on the recirc system. I'll show you. Basically, it's a 50-litre keg with an element put in down there. I don't know if you can see it down that side there. I'm just using an STC. I've got a little sinker on there, a little stainless steel socket, just to hold that, just to keep that temperature probe where I want it, which is sort of off the bottom, because the bottom seems to give me a false reading. So we just hang it about there, and it's sort of in line with the element, and at the bottom of the wort chiller, which is now my heat exchange unit. I've got no use for it as a wort chiller, so this is perfect, this is ideal. This actually really does work. And I was just packing up the Brewmeister because the Brewmeister is not getting used this weekend. I might even put it away in the room to get it totally out of here. No updates on the brew rig yet. It's still as it was, because now that I've introduced this recirculating heat exchanger, the layout's going to change again. So I haven't yet welded the hoist stand on here yet, or run the water like I was going to. So, basically I'm just going to brew on it a few more times, and then see where we go from there, because there's no use setting it up. Yeah, no use setting it up and then having it not usable, welding all these things into place and having them so you just can't use them. Having to compromise on stuff. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to play with this for a few more times and yeah, see how we go. The way it works, I'm going to have to move the heat exchange unit over and bring the eskies back on this side. It's just the way everything falls into place. So that's all good, it's all good. What else is happening? Yeah, I mentioned the Bubbles and Chalk meeting this weekend. Yeah, that's still on. I won't be brewing a full beer. I've got some things I need to do for Offtap Brewing, and basically it's to create some base wort that I'm going to put away into bottles and freeze. Basically, I want to explain that it's to get higher volumes out of my Brewmeister. I'm already getting it's a 50-litre system. I'm already getting 70 litres out of it at 1045, but if I want slightly higher gravity, or say something goes wrong on the day, I don't have any more room for error. The only room I've got is to only make 2 cubes, which is just not applicable, because once you start boiling for 2 hours, you've just changed your whole recipe if you haven't compensated for the 2-hour boil, or set up for the 2-hour boil. So if hops are added, then you're just boiling for an hour, because that's what you've set up for. But so what I want, instead of adding dextrose and things like that, and malt extract and all these things, I still want to keep Offtap Brewing products as all grain. So spinning around some ideas. I had a bit of a panic last weekend where I thought I wasn't going to get the full gravity on a test batch of beer I was doing, and I did. I came in under, very so slightly. So I sent the missus down to go and get some dextrose, and she went and bought 3 bags. I still haven't used those 3 bags because I can't bring myself to call it an all grain product when I've added something that's not all grain. So this weekend what I'm going to do is create my own bottles of high gravity wort that I put in the bottles hot, no hops added, no boil, just straight out of the mash esky. So into the Coke bottle and then into the freezer and freeze them. So no bacteria or anything can grow in them, they'll be frozen. And then on brew day, if I'm looking at too much volume, not enough gravity, I can throw one of these high gravity bottles in and you know, just hang it over the side in the wort while it's heating up. It'll heat up. I pour the wort in once it's not frozen anymore, and I've just been able to add the extra 10 litres I need but kept the gravity good, or I've been able to add more gravity without adding too much volume. So it's a way of compensating with this system. I mean, you guys out there, if you're using mash tuns and all that sort of stuff, well, you can compensate by just chucking some more grain in the mash tun because you've got room. Well, the Brewmaster maxes out at 13 kilos, and that's when the pumps are struggling to push the recirculation through. So that's okay if you want 50 litres, but if you want 70 or 80, you know, you've got to get your extra sugars from somewhere. So to keep Offtap Brewing all grain this weekend, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be creating some very high gravity wort, you know, 1080 or whatever. I think I'm going to use, I'm going to do probably one batch of Pilsner grain and 1 batch of pale ale grain. So probably, you know, I'll probably mash in twice for that day, recirculate, and then run that off. To be honest, I may even run a sparge and see what I can pull off both those, and I may do a brew out of that. I don't know. I'll see how we go. But what I want is the first runnings in bottles, just to have on hand, as I said, to beef up the gravity on the fly if I need to. Because one thing that I advise to people when new brewers are talking to me and asking me about this and that and the other, I always say to them, when you're new to brewing and you're new to your software, you've got it all set up and you're running and you're going, you know, you got programmed for an hour boil, your hops are already in, you can't really change much. Always have some extra water on hand and always have some dextrose on hand. So that way, at the end of the boil, you can check your gravity and you can adjust it to your target gravity as what your program says. Or add water if you've got too much gravity, you know, so you can play around to get what you need out of it. Because when you start adding the hops and the bitterness towards the alcohol, you're creating a balance, and if you're not hitting that balance right, you're not really understanding what's going on in your beer. So you'll brew that first beer and the gravity will be way too low, and you'll drink it and you go, wow, it's really bitter, it's really hoppy, it's yucky, I don't like it. So then you'll up the gravity or something, and then, you know, and drop the bitterness down, and then you'll have the same thing. Oh, that's very alcoholic. It's just alcohol. It's shit, you know. And then you'll sort of start to lose interest in it without understanding. If you guys understand what I mean. So my advice to new brewers is to always, if you're using programs and software, is to hit your targets, and that means adjust either way. Adjust with water if you've got too much gravity, and adjust with dextrose if you don't have enough gravity. And I mean, think about it, guys. It's, you know, it's all about balancing your beer. You want to be able to replicate that recipe over and over and over, and you want to be able to understand what balance between your crystal malts and your bitterness and your alcohol are going to do for you. You know, in the enjoyability factor of your beer. So basically, to cut a long story short, that's what I'm doing with the grain, with the brews this weekend. Just taking the first runnings off there and creating some high gravity, all grain gravity uppers, just in case I need it. Because the Brewmaster and 13 kilos is a great job, but I'm looking at trying to get pushing 4 cubes out of it, so 4 times 23 litres, 4 times 22 litres. So I'm looking at trying to get nearly 90 litres out of this Brewmaster, and it's only an 80 litre pot. I can do it. I know I can. I'm set up enough here to be able to do it, and still using the Brewmaster as the fancy mash tun, utilising my other mash tuns and pumps and recirculating systems through there, but just allowing the Brewmaster to control it all will be the key. So yeah, I'll update you guys on how that's going to work. 100 litres or 96 litres, or what do I say, 88 litres, 90 litres out of a 50 litre Brewmaster, and we're talking a 5% beer. It can be done. I've played around with it before, played around with different aspects of it, so watch this space, it'll happen. What else? That was a bit of a ramble. I've got nothing. It's like an anticlimax now. Oh, the Midnight Brew, guys. Holy moly, that was a lot of fun, you guys. Harry, Martin, Tom, Zippy, Jonah, all the other faces that dropped in. We had Sam, Thrifty Brewer. We had Onuvu. There was a few other faces that dropped in. And man, you guys, we had a ball. That was awesome. We threw around an idea about having a global midnight brew session. So, obviously it starts before us. So, New Zealand, the guys over there, if you guys are interested in doing this, you guys hit midnight 2-3 hours before we do in Australia. As long as you're brewing over that, and then as long as we're brewing over that, and then maybe we just have a continually rolling weekend of midnight brews. Guys, think about that idea. I think that was awesome. Harry's cast and Tom's cast and the big Uvu chat we had. Mate, that was an absolute ball. For you guys that missed out, next time join in. We had an absolute ball. You guys have seen the video. I'm just halfway through watching Harry's. I'll go and finish watching Harry's shortly. And I've seen Martin's video already, or Scuzzy. I've seen his video already, and he enjoyed it thoroughly. Hope your beer turns out good, mate. It'll probably be the best beer you've ever had. So yeah, let's get some sort of global midnight brew happening. Maybe if we do it, once a month or something, or I think we can all join in the fun there. It's a bit of a thing we could set up. The global brewing network. It's an interesting name. I like it. The Global Brewing Network. Yeah, not much else to really ramble on with. I've got a couple of other short videos to make today, so I've got to get on with those. This is a bit of an experimental beer I did. I found an old work kit that I brewed up one Friday night, and I probably left it for too long, or left it overnight or something, and or didn't control it very well. Got a bit pissed on the way of doing it. But the base work didn't turn out very nice. I fermented it out with a lager yeast, and it's just not that nice at all. But yeah, I threw in some coffee to give it some dark colour, and I threw in some more hops. And it's I just wanted to try the cheap old coffee, just to see what happens, and it's not too bad. It's a crossbreed. Anyhow guys, I've kept you too long on this video. Have a great day. Hope all your beers have bubbles. I hope you hit all your targets. And remember, beer makes you smarter.